It sure seems like every single time a Marvel movie gets released, we see the same exact headlines repeated just 3 or 4 months later. We know we said the same thing for Captain America Brave New World. We know we said the same thing for Thunderbolts. And even though we hyped up both those movies upon its release at the box office, those movies were ultimately financial failures and flops. And what do you know? It's the same exact thing for Fantastic Four. After Thunderbolts underperformed, Fantastic Four could be on track to disprove Marvel fatigue with a massive start at the box office. And then the opening weekend numbers come out, and they're kind of weak. It's actually not that impressive, but it gets called impressive by the very same people that told you the movie was just the best thing we've seen since the last best thing that they think Marvel had out. And then despite all that, despite the media pushing it, despite all of this, the second weekend comes along, and wouldn't you know it, here we are again. Fantastic Four First Step's huge second weekend box office drop could be bad news for the MCU's future. Yeah, no shit. It's again, these are the same fucking headlines we continue to see over and over and over again. And some people are finally coming to the realization that, maybe this brand is damaged. You know, maybe the people that have been talking about this for 5 years, maybe they were right. And some of them are still in complete and total denial. Fantastic Four box office flop bombs with $38.7 million in its second weekend, a 67% drop. Actually, a bigger drop than what they initially expected over the weekend. And maybe the people who are most affected by this are some of the influencers, the ones that have been telling you what an incredible, stunning movie this was. And look, personally, I do think that Fantastic Four was an okay movie. I liked it. I think I gave it a 6 out of 10. I don't think it's as good as it needs to be for Marvel's first family. I don't think it was good enough to turn around people's feelings about the MCU or to convince people that you should get invested in this. I don't think it was good enough for the lead-in to Avengers Doomsday. Not at all. But here you are, and the same people are now very, very upset that this movie is failing when they told you how incredible it was. I saw this going around the other day. Hunter Bolding, who is with the hashtag show, Press Certified, all that stuff. A real journalist critic, by the way. The obsession with the box office is killing movies and creativity. Who gives a fuck how much the movie makes? Well, I will say this. A movie's success or failure at the box office isn't necessarily indicative of whether it's a good movie or not. We have seen horrifically bad movies make a lot of money at the box office. We've seen good movies that absolutely flop and do terrible. What are the reasons behind that? Could be a variety of things. Could be the marketing. Could be the way that the people feel about that franchise at a given time. For instance, something like Captain Marvel. Was Captain Marvel, which made $1 billion, is that a better movie than, I don't know, Captain America and the Winter Soldier? It'd be hard-pressed to find anybody who would honestly tell you that Captain Marvel is a better movie than that. But it was at the peak for the MCU, and they convinced you that this movie was sandwiched between Infinity War and Endgame, the two biggest and most important comic book movies we'd ever seen, that was so important to understanding what was going on. And people bought into that. People felt good about Marvel. They went to see it because of that. Doesn't make it a better movie, but that's one of the reasons it happened. But to pretend like the box office isn't important is wild. They don't make these movies for free. Studios don't just get a blank check to do whatever they want. Eventually, somebody has to pay for this shit. And when you have failure after failure, flop after flop, over and over again, with possibly the exception of Deadpool and Wolverine over the last couple years, there's a fucking problem. And of course, this guy got absolutely annihilated and ratioed. John Roca, somebody else who really wanted people to love this movie, he decided, you know who's to blame for Superman and Fantastic Four having weak box office runs? It's the fans. They're just too stupid. Some people don't want to hear this, but it might be time to stop putting all the blame on studios or creators for underperforming movies. It might be time to start looking at the intelligence level of the moviegoers. If a phenomenally stupid movie like Fantastic or Jurassic World Rebirth can crush films like Superman and Fantastic Four, then something might be wrong with all of us and not the studios or creatives. I think this is a problem with you, John Roca, trying to pretend like Jurassic World Rebirth is a level of stupidity beyond that of, say, the Superman movie. I thought the Superman movie was a hot mess. I do think it's a stupid movie overall. And you trying to pretend like the mid-slop that's coming out this summer has any huge variety and difference in quality level, that's you being crazy. But the truth is, maybe people have different expectations for comic book movies than they do for CGI dinosaur movies. Maybe that's the case. Maybe there's something to be said there. Maybe people's expectations are different. Your expectations are going to be different going into a thriller or a horror movie or a comedy movie or whatever it may be. But he put all of the blame on the fucking fans. You're the ones. Your fault. It's your fault that these mid-superhero movies aren't making a lot of money. It couldn't possibly be the fact that we have had example after example, time after time, especially from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, of it not being up to par, of them putting out dog shit. And some people might finally be coming around to the reality that we've been talking about for years at this point. When you put out shit like Thor Love and Thunder, when you put out shit like Multiverse of Madness, when you put out shit like Quantumania, when you put out dog shit like The Marvels, not to mention all the Disney Plus series that have been so bad, maybe people start to walk away. Maybe people don't give things a chance. Maybe you don't have that goodwill from your customers and your audience. Comic Oddity says, the fact that these were a step up for the MCU, meaning Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, and are both trilogy worthy. Calm the fuck down. Thunderbolts, trilogy worthy? Are you kidding me? Yet ended up being box office flops. Really shows the damage Love and Thunder and Quantumania did to Marvel's name. So now we're bringing it around and blaming it on these other bad things that a lot of you guys wanted to pretend was fucking awesome for a while. And I don't necessarily just mean him. I'm talking about the media and everybody. They wanted to hype up these terrible movies. Captain America, Black Brave New World, Quantumania, even though they were failures at the box office. They've been blaming the audience. And now you're trying to change the tune. Some people are finally coming around and saying, well, maybe those things actually did damage to the brand. Yeah, you think? No shit, Sherlock. And look, if this movie had had a 55 to 60% drop, probably wouldn't have been the hold it desperately needed to actually do something impactful, but it wouldn't have been, disaster mode. 67% drop, that is disaster mode for this film. Now this thing might have a struggle to get to, $550 million at the box office. That is horrific for this movie in the summer as the lead up to Doomsday. And it's Marvel's third box office failure of the year. They are 0 for 3. Fantastic Four is fucked. Bottom line, there's really no turning around if you have a second weekend drop that's that bad with indications that legs will be like this. And apparently, it's a lot of the people who shilled for this movie who are the most affected. What do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.